Hello, you wonderful snacks. Welcome back. This is a cat. Hello, Mr. Tibbles. Good to see you. Okay, let's get straight into the stories. We begin with this story from 13 days ago with a now deleted account. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm done pushing? Throwaway account. Me, 40 female, and him, 39 male, have been together for 20 years and married for 15. 2 kids. He has had bouts where he is unhappy and been caught having emotional affairs several times. We have separated 3 times, each lasting about 6 months, and then he decides his family is where he wants to be, and we reconcile. Here, lately, I'm seeing the same pattern of being unhappy, moping around, disconnecting from everyone, facing his phone constantly, etc. I do 95% of the household tasks, on top of working 50 hours a week, homeschooling. He maybe cooks dinner once every 2 weeks, and he is responsible for grocery shopping on Thursdays and trash on Tuesday. He has hobbies outside of the home that he does once a week, and then he does an all-day thing related to his hobby once a month. I've asked him if he wants to talk about it, and he insists nothing is wrong and I'm imagining things. I stopped pushing. I told him that until he communicates that something is wrong, I'm going to assume it's not. I do not have time to beg someone to tell me what's wrong when they clearly don't want to. The marriage counselor basically told him that he has a communication issue, but he would never do the exercises with me and insisted that the counselor sided with me because she was a woman. When we got a male counselor and he said the same thing and that the guy was interested in me. I told him this morning after he was mad that I hadn't pushed him all week trying to figure out what was wrong, that I'm done pushing. I'll ask what's wrong and if there is anything that I can do to help him once or twice, but after that, I'm leaving it. I'm done. I'm exhausted all the time and I feel like I have a sulky teenager in my house. He is now giving me the silent treatment and telling people his needs aren't being met. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, just how far can you tolerate someone just going through something and you need to give them, well, not give them the space, no, you need to constantly check in on them. Bro, how can you encourage your partner to want to check in about your mental health when you never actually communicate with her your mental health? Seems like an open and shut case, right? Wife's put up with all his stuff for too long and she's had enough. Understandably, she's just stepping back now and leaving it up to him to actually communicate himself. Many in the comments are now suggesting the idea of like, hey, is this really the life you want to keep living? That's right, folks. Only one post and already we're suggesting divorce. Woo! Now, to be fair, unlike the other many posts out there where people stupidly assume that divorce is the only option, they have at least tried multiple times to go to therapy about this, so I feel in this case, jumping to divorce is actually kinda valid. But oh, my friends, what is this? Another throwaway account a few days later. Well, before we get to that though, the wife did make one extra comment in her post. So I appreciate all the comments. I'm trying to get my ducks in a row to figure out the next steps without losing my house and kids. I scheduled a consult with a lawyer for 2 weeks from now. He is petty enough, and prides himself on how petty he is, to fight me every step of the way just because he can. He has gone and told all our friends that he showed vulnerability to me and I brushed him off. When I tried to explain, I was told, he doesn't hit you, he doesn't drink, do drugs, he goes to work. What more do you want? My husband is the same way as yours. It's part of marriage. So when women friends who I thought had fantastic marriages are telling me the same thing, I started questioning if it was just me and if I'm just so emotionally checked out that I'm the problem. So yeah, with that in mind, we come to this next story. Totally unrelated, guys, don't you worry. Am I the a-hole? Giving my wide silent treatment because she's checked out and no longer pushes me about what is wrong? Been together 20 years, 2 kids, picket fence, all that good stuff. So my wife, 40 female, and I, 39 male, are at an impasse and I'm giving her the silent treatment because she isn't meeting my needs or showing any concern for me and my feelings. We got into an argument because she asked me what was wrong, and I felt that after 20 years, she should know to keep asking, and she didn't. She told me she would only ask me once and would assume all is well unless I tell her differently. Normally, she asks and asks until I eventually tell her. It's kind of a game. Eventually, I tell her and we work it out. But more and more lately, she has less time for me and tells me she's exhausted between work and the kids and home and all the other stuff. I work too. I have hobbies that take me out of the house. I'm tired too. She doesn't get a monopoly on being exhausted. That's parenting. I cook some and take out the garbage once a week, which is more than a lot of men have to do. Oh boy. We have had a hard time on and off through our marriage and are getting on a better track after a separation that I felt was needed after she saw a message pop up on my Apple Watch from a coworker she had asked me to distance myself from personally. I felt she was overstepping just because my coworker was female. Now, my wife is super introverted and doesn't really leave the house, so I'm not worried she's cheating on me. I've been quiet for almost a week, and it seems like she doesn't care. Am I the a-hole for keeping on with the silent treatment until she goes back to caring for my feelings? So there are so many things that are easy to pick apart in this. His argument against her for being exhausted from doing so much stuff and responsibility in the house and with the kids and with the home. Oh, but I have hobbies, things that I like to do and aren't a responsibility. Oh, they take up a lot of my time. Oh, you don't understand, babe. I get to do what I want. And also, that's parenting. Okay, mate, well, are you gonna get onto it too then? Women don't self-reproduce. It takes two to tango. Ah, but don't worry, folks. He comes back to verify that he is actually someone who pulls his weight. No, I do stuff at home. If she works late, I'll grab food or cook. Usually once or twice every few weeks. Then you don't cook, mate. You've cooked in past tense. That is not frequent enough to say that you actively do it like this. I take the garbage out to the road once a week since she has some health problems that bother her and the garbage is heavy. I don't cook more often because she tells me I use too many pots and leave her kitchen a mess. I don't do laundry because I messed it up royally and ruined her work clothes. Now, I'm just gonna say right here, I am a guy who hardly cooks for my partner. She does most of the cooking. That said, in my circumstance, I do a lot of bulk cooking of the most basic of meals. Lentils in a pot, chicken on the barbecue, some very basic marinade or sauce, and that's my meals for the next few days. There is no expectation or requirement for my partner to cook for me. And whenever she does, I always make sure to be the one to clean up whatever she's cooked. But I can understand how one would be less inclined to cook for their partner when a lot of the time they're being criticized for what they do when they cook. And this is where I kind of relate. I mean, she doesn't really criticize me, more gives me constructive advice because she's literally a trained professional chef, but it is incredibly daunting and intimidating and stressful to try and cook some casual home food for a partner who is genuinely, their norm is like restaurant level quality. You know, like I am trying, but I can be on his side about this aspect at least. But okay, I've defended 1% of his behavior. This comment makes a very great point. So he says, normally she asks and asks until I eventually tell her. It's kind of a game. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun game, and it's clearly one your wife is bored of. Tell her or don't tell her, but don't expect someone to keep asking. It's also this quoted response too that I think I will now retract actually that 1% I defended because, okay, regurgitating exactly what I was saying about how he's trying to equate all the stuff he does with everything she does. And then noticing the comment he made about the fact that he tries to do in cooking, but she criticizes him for making a mess. And this is probably a good point. She's probably saying that because he leaves it to her to clean up. Like, okay, if you were both doing the cooking at an equal rate, I'd understand that. Dude's clearly a little bit delulu. So this leaves people to ask, okay, so if I understand correctly, she asked what was wrong and you wanted to tell her, but not before she asked a bunch more times. When she didn't play this idiotic game, you determined that she doesn't care and therefore it's okay to punish her with the silent treatment. Is this what happened? If so, yata. Hope he's now deleted response. Yes, but every other time she has asked and asked for about a week until I felt like telling her. She's a super anxious person and says that it really bothers her when she can tell something is wrong by the way I'm acting, but I don't tell her. She told me I have a history of being unhappy and then seeking attention elsewhere. We went to a counselor, but they agreed with her because women band together. We got 5 sessions in and I refused to go. She still goes on her own. In regards to his coincidental incompetence to do any of the cleaning instead of just learning from his mistakes and keep trying. Oh, they were legitimate mistakes. The laundry thing I already discussed. I forgot to put the pod thing in the dishwasher and ran it without soap. I put her cast iron pot in the dishwasher and apparently this is a big no-no and it took her a lot of work to get it back to where it was good to cook with again. I forgot to nail some of the boards in when she was getting her back seating area together. It's little things. And okay, so what? Her reaction to the first emotional affair wasn't good enough that you had to do it a second time to get the reaction you really wanted? Oh, I didn't have a physical affair, but it got carried away as a friendship and my wife and the therapist said it was an emotional affair. Look, I know it was the wrong thing to do. I just hadn't had any attention in about 8 weeks with a difficult recovery from the C-section where she opened up her incision twice and then the anxiety about taking the baby anywhere or sit. So your woman was literally recovering from surgery, what is essentially, in less professional terms, bodily mutilation. And you think you're the victim here? Oh, God. This was shared on Best of Redditor updates with a title like this, like, choose your fighter. And I was jumping into this thinking, oh great, this like has a bit of conflict. Might have people want to see, get both sides of the story. You know, it's not super obvious at first who's the total a-hole in this situation. Maybe both of them are. Ooh. And oh god, is that not turning out to be the case? She would stay up all hours of the night watching to make sure he kept breathing. I contacted her friend to see what I could do to help because she kept telling me she has so much anxiety and didn't know why, and that the doctor kept changing her meds, so she needed to adjust. Wow, man, that sounds like you need to step up and try to take care of the baby for her in some instances, you know, tap in for her, so to speak, so she can actually rest. But no, what does he do instead? Well, the emotional fare was friendly and 100 on board at first, but then it turned flirty, and the next thing I know, it's 2 years and I'm planning a vacation and to break up my marriage. I stopped it then. That's when she found out. Oh, so you were planning to leave your wife at the time instead of actually trying to be there for her. Interesting. So let's just go down this lovely little summary. Thank you, Dumped Dalish. So she works full-time, 90% of the chores. She manages to homeschools your child with special needs. You read her private journal and excuse it with some BS that you do not believe in or allow privacy of any kind in marriage. I missed that comment. You had 2 emotional affairs. One of her only friends, 2 months after your wife had given birth and was PPD. Now she no longer has friends of her own, or at least lets them around you. You are currently on the road to a new affair with a coworker who you admit messages you constantly, calls you love, and discusses how handsome you are. You are currently and openly playing mind games with your wife to purposely make her feel anxious and not to tell her what's going on with you. You are now giving her the silent treatment in addition to this because she isn't begging you to tell her anymore. You use weaponized incompetence and claim you can't do the dishes or laundry, but you make dinner once every few weeks and take out the trash, which is totally equal. Meanwhile, your wife split her C-section incision twice doing your laundry postpartum. You do not tell your wife you love her or compliment her. When pushed on the last time you were kind or loving to her, you said you gave her a card in May. 10, you refused therapy because the female therapist sided with your wife, saying women stick together. You quit therapy completely when the male therapist did too. Now fret not, my friends. Thankfully, Daddy Dearest here does seem to learn his lesson in an edit. I get it. I'm a massive a-hole. I'm gonna have a talk with her when I get home to see where she is at. If she has checked out of the relationship emotionally, I'll let her go, even if I don't want that. I grew up in the same kind of household, and seeing my grandparents do the same. The only thing she does differently from my mom and granny is hold a job. I still don't think I'll do therapy, as I don't think I need it. But I'll make an effort to be more supportive at home and help. Bro! Fine, okay, don't do therapy. At least get a coach or something. Jesus. You don't need to go to therapy purely if you're sad or depressed, you know? Like, it's like you don't go to the mechanic only when your car's broken down or one of your tires have fallen off. You don't even have to go every single week or every single month. Do it every 2 months at first if you have to. If that's all you can afford. It's like hair loss, really. Start early, and prevention is far better than trying to get a cure. Now, it wasn't long before someone on the wife's original post gave her a heads up on the fact that, hey, OP, found your husband's thread. Did you know he was reading your journal as well? Everyone on his thread is beating him up over it, but as he said, he has never told you. He is also reading your therapy notes. Thought you should know as well. And look at that, they even were kind enough to give us receipts of the husband saying this. I found something called a shadow work journal of hers, so I know most of it, but I don't know all the details, and I don't want to open up to her more if she is going to hide stuff from me. Oh, okay, so suddenly hiding stuff from your partner is a bad thing. You know, the thing he does on purpose, because he wants her to try more. I told her from the start that I would not have someone keeping a journal that is secret or hidden in the house. I know this goes against most people, but I knew she kept one growing up and wrote in it daily. She's a writer and would do that as a career. I was upfront about it 20 years ago because we found out stuff after my mom died from her journal, and I don't want secrets kept like that. I have always told my kids they won't keep one either. My wife tells me it isn't my place and they need a private place to work through their feelings. I disagree. This was something discussed from the beginning when I saw her bringing in her old ones when we moved in together after we got married. So okay, maybe I'll put my 1% of sympathy on him in this case, because he did establish this was a boundary of his from the get-go, or at least an issue. But once again, I can't help but question, is this really something she is expected to abide by, or maybe something you need to go to therapy for? You know, you can only act a victim of your triggers for so long before it's like, okay, well, you have made no effort to actually work on this clear insecurity of yours, yours, at this point, it's your own damn fault for getting upset about it. Your boundaries do not trump one's right to autonomy. So now ducking back over to Daddy Dearest's posts, he does an update. Now also realizing that the wife has been on Reddit as well. Apparently my wife posted last week and got an overwhelming amount of support telling her I was a narcissist and to leave me. She set up an appointment with a lawyer based on the feedback. It's in 2 weeks. I'm not sure who sent her this post, but she is mad at me. And so on that same post, just later in the day, we learn, unsurprisingly, that he's deciding to delete the account, messages, comments, and everything, as it's a lot to deal with. My wife destroyed all her journals she had been keeping since middle school, so I couldn't read them and try to use anything against her. Apparently, she had them hidden in various spots in the house, like under a loose step in the staircase and under a drawer in the bathroom. I get it. I'm an overwhelming a-hole. I appreciate the messages that have sent me links and videos. She is adamant in moving forward with a lawyer and told me her best hope is co-parent as civilized adults and do what is best for the kids. Her name is nowhere on the house as it was an inheritance, so she will have to move. There is nothing I can do about that. I'll try to make it as easy as possible on her from here on out and just apologize for taking advantage of her and what a wonderful person she is. And that's where things end. Just kidding! Final update from the wife! Hi everyone, I can't seem to get into the original throwaway that I had posted about my husband wanting to keep me asking and asking and asking what was wrong and then giving me the silent treatment. I guess things imploded yesterday. I think he found my original post, copied a lot of my post, and then posted trying to get sympathy here and was absolutely destroyed. Thank you, great Reddit folks, for that. I had the post sent to my main, and I'm not sure who figured that out, but you should 100% make finding obscure people on the internet a career. He claimed that he isn't on social media or Reddit, and that simply isn't true. He spent a great majority of his time on social media. He left and went to stay with a friend after me telling him that I was done and there was no coming back from everything. I guess I kind of came out of the fog reading all the replies and the books I ordered. I found out he read my journals, and that was the overall breaking point for me. I appreciate the feedback and messages so much, and everyone who took time to link his post. I hope you wonderful people have an amazing lives, and I wish you all the best. Am I the a-hole for being suspicious of my girlfriend's friend after she tried to test me? Beginning in early February, I'm 30 male and have been dating my girlfriend Olivia, 23 female, for the last 1 year. We met at a coffee shop near my office, which I used to frequent to get my morning coffee, and she worked there as a barista. I asked her out, and she said yes. Things have been great so far, and I feel we are compatible in terms of what we like and want from a relationship. She has a group of 3 girlfriends she is close with. These girls are always very welcoming to me, but they seem very immature compared to my friends. One of the girls is Harper, 23 female. Harper is awesome, and we get along well since we like the same video games and music. Now recently, Olivia and I were talking about taking our relationship to the next stage, and I asked her to move in with me. She spends 4 to 5 nights a week at my place anyway, so I asked her to just move in. For some reason, her parents are the most excited about this, as she is finally moving out of their house. She also told her friends about the same. On Saturday, Olivia decided to stay back at her parents' house to pack some of her things. Harper messaged Olivia and me that she and her friends were downtown and if we wanted to hang out with her. Well, Olivia was gone, but she told me it was okay if I wanted to go out for drinks with the girls. Well, I had nothing to do, and hence I joined them. It was all 3 of her friends and me, and we went to a few bars. We lost the other 2 girls midway, and it was just Harper and I. I was constantly messaging Olivia about what was going on, as I started to get uncomfortable with the situation. So as it was getting late, I told Harper that I would get an Uber for her to drop her home. She told me that she wanted to go dancing. Well, at this point, she was visibly getting drunk. I called an Uber for her anyway. As we were leaving the bar, Harper grabbed my t-shirt and tried to kiss me. I immediately pulled back and told her that this was making me uncomfortable and I would let it pass since she was drunk. She apologized to me. As we were waiting for an Uber, she again started getting handsy and told me, "Let's go back to your place, and no one needs to know." I snapped at her at this point and told her to please shut up until I got in the car. Well, until she got in the car. Finally, the Uber came and I got Harper to get in. She kept on apologizing to me and telling me, "Please don't tell Olivia." Finally, her Uber left and I tracked it on my phone to make sure she reached home. I asked Olivia to check with Harper's roommate if she got safely to her apartment. As I was walking home, though, I called Olivia and told her about what happened. Olivia was crying, and I was genuinely mad at Harper's behavior. Olivia tried to call Harper at night, but her phone was going straight to her voicemail. In the morning, Olivia came home and told me, "Hey, it's all good. It was just a test." I was angry at this point, and I asked Olivia to explain what was going on. So Harper messaged Olivia in the morning that Olivia was really lucky and that I passed the test. I asked Olivia if she was involved in this, and she did not know that Harper was going to test me. According to Harper, she wanted to make sure that I was not a cheater before Olivia moved in with me. Hence, she wanted to see if I accept her advances. I told Olivia that Harper is full of it because she was drunk and there was no way she was thinking straight. Moreover, when I snapped at her, she apologized and told me not to tell you anything. Harper is just trying to cover for her mistake and is giving a bullshit excuse. Olivia thinks I am overreacting. According to her, Harper is her best friend and will never betray her. Although the test was stupid and Harper should apologize to me, she was just looking for Olivia's best interest. Also, Olivia feels nothing happened, so I should not make a big deal of it. I just feel Olivia is dumb and cannot see that a friend tried to get her boyfriend to cheat. I just feel she is too immature to understand Harper's true intentions, and it is bothering me. I told her to stay away from Harper if she wanted us to have a happy relationship. Am I the a-hole to tell Olivia to not believe Harper's lies? Or do you think Harper's story checks out and I am just overreacting? I have never heard of anyone hitting on their friend's boyfriend to test the relationship, and it seems like the most bullshit excuse. And, well, naturally, if you want to find out for certain, you have to play by their own rules. So OP comes back just about a week in, and a TLDR, we tested Harper. Now, before I go to the update, let me address the issue that most of the comments were discussing. Yes, I am aware that there is a 7-year age gap between Olivia and me. It also does not help that I am 6'4" muscular dude, and she is a 5'3" petite runner. I have dated girls my age, some girls slightly older than me and Olivia. I do not think maturity is a function of age, and I have dated girls my age who are way more childish than Olivia. Out of all of my relationships, I have been the happiest in the last year with Olivia. She is not as academically gifted as I am, but she is ambitious and driven. She is a long-distance runner, runs 2 to 3 marathons per year, and is finishing her fitness training certifications. I am proud of her and how she takes care of herself. The relationship just works for us. Really, that age gap was getting questioned? They technically would have met each other when they were both in their 20s. I don't... What do you think? What is your, deal breaker with an age gap here? So okay, now for the update. Harper told Olivia that she was just testing me, and Olivia initially agreed with her explanation. We discussed it, and I told her my side of the story. I told her that Harper is bad news, but it's her choice if she wants to be friends with her. Olivia was more mad at Harper that she did not tell her about the test beforehand, and had her doubts about Harper's story. I decided to drop the issue since I do not want Olivia to be broken off from her friends group because of me. But Olivia just couldn't get over the incident and kept on asking me for more details every day. Finally, yesterday we had a long discussion about it. I told her that testing someone's boyfriend is a very insecure thing to do. Doing it without telling Olivia was horrible, as she did try to kiss me and physically seduce me into coming to our apartment. My point was, if my friend ever tried to kiss Olivia and ask her to cheat on me, I would immediately drop that friend, if not do something worse. She understood, but kept on repeating that what if Harper was just acting convincingly and did something stupid but not evil? She told me that although Harper is very promiscuous, she would never try to steal someone's boyfriend. She also told me that Harper has a type of guy who she dates, and I am not the type of guy she would date. I don't want to admit it, but that did hurt my ego. Oh god, does he test this by actually hooking up with Harper and then being, see babe, see? She's into me, huh? Turns out I am actually that hot, huh? Frick you! Olivia just kept on repeating that we would never really know what Harper was thinking that night. She may be trying to test me, but got drunk and went too far. I told Olivia that maybe she should test Harper and see what was really on her mind. Olivia was confused, but went with what I was saying. I told Olivia to message Harper that she was going to visit her parents' place over the weekend and ask her to meet for brunch on Sunday. Harper replied and said it sounded great, and they decided a place to meet. So after an hour, Olivia and I messaged Harper from my Snapchat with just a blank image and said, thinking about you. We waited for 10 minutes, and Harper replied with 2 topless bathroom selfies. Olivia was beyond mad at this point, but I told her to wait and see what happens next. Harper then replied saying, "Hey, Olivia is gone for the weekend. Maybe I can show you this in person on Saturday." At this point, Olivia was just trying to keep it together. She snatched the phone away from my hand, took a selfie of her own face, and messaged it to Harper. Harper started blowing up Olivia's phone with missed calls and frantically messaging her. Her excuse was, again, "I was right about your boyfriend. He is a cheat. I was testing him to see what was on his mind." Olivia did not reply to any of her messages, and it took a while to console her. I felt bad blowing up their friendship, but I knew what Harper was doing that night, and I felt she should not get away with it. Did I do something extremely immature for a 30-year-old guy? Yes. Did it feel good? Also yes. I feel any person hitting on their friend's partner deserves this treatment, irrespective of their age. I don't know if Olivia and Harper would patch up in the future or how it will affect her friends group. I sometimes feel guilty for the fact that I went out for drinks with Harper and friends and that led to this whole situation. Olivia does not deserve to have her best friend betray her trust in this way. So, in the spirit of this subreddit, am I the a-hole for testing my girlfriend's friend who tried to test me? Despite how satisfying it is to see this person get ruined, it is valid to question if he did go too far. Of course, top support is not the a-hole, childish but effective. Harper had immediately sent your message to Olivia, the test might be inconclusive. But also, I got my girlfriend's friend to show me her boobies and it increased my girlfriend's trust in me. Now, there's this other interesting discussion in the comments regarding the age gap stuff that I'd be curious to know what your 2 cents are on it. So in response to the age gap issue, one person says, it's a recent trend, part of the modern victim culture fetish, constantly scanning situations for oppression. Which, look, I can kind of get. There's so many people out there who have valid issues that deserve to be heard and called out on. But there's also so many people who lash onto that sort of thing, not because they're actually a victim, but because they just want to feel wanted and cared about. Which, I mean, can you blame them? The world is so lonely these days. Anyway, they say, a 23-year-old woman has been an adult for 5 years and is past college graduation age. It's insulting to act like she has no personal agency and somehow is incapable of having a normal adult relationship with a man who is, say, 35 without it being predatory. Look, I'm in my 40s and in my professional workplace, new employees are often around 25. I don't even think about or notice the age difference. They're professional adults just like I am. I don't see why it's any different in romantic relationships. Now I know hearing this sentence up here does bring up a bit of a red flag with this guy, like, oh, so what, you're telling us that you're into 25-year-olds and not people your own age? But I think this is also just a great example where, based on the circumstances of discussion and how often you hear predatory men talk about stuff like this is the same experience as, I prefer cats. Oh, so you think all dogs should die? Like, I don't necessarily think they're saying they prefer people around 25, they just see them as equal, mature adults. And again, I have to agree to this, but I still also agree to the fact that there is still very many examples where someone can be predatory based on age difference. Though not so much the age itself, just the position of power they have over the younger person. Now, it seemed overall that everyone in the comments are fully supportive of this guy and what he did, but interestingly, there's also so many people who are actually very disgusted by this guy, isolating a lot of the lines he said throughout both posts, and I kind of get what they're saying. She's not as academically gifted as I am. I am proud of her and how she takes care of herself. Yeah, this man is not thinking with his brain. Olivia is special. She isn't the brightest, but man, she is fit as fuck. Is a very odd way to describe your partner. Yeah, I was kind of rooting for this dork until he was low-key calling Olivia dumb. Olivia was confused, but went with what I was saying. Completely unnecessary detail, other than to illustrate that she's too dumb to keep up with his clever ruse. Frick this guy. Someone also highlighting this part from the first post. So yeah, he's been dating his girlfriend Olivia for the last 1 year. She has a group of 3 girlfriends she is close with. These girls are always very welcoming to me, but they seem very immature compared to my friends. Gee, I wonder why. It's almost as if you're 7 years older. Ultimately, I think this is a very good point. It's like, why would you purposely run into a hornet's nest and be like, gee, why are there so many hornets here? Let the hornets be, my guy. So what do you think? Do you think all these sort of criticisms are valid? Like, it's okay for these people to be who they are because that's just their age. But I feel that's just excusing people like Harper here. And like, it's one thing to permit Olivia being clueless to her friend because she was so trusting, but to just like say, oh, well, yeah, she's 23. She was too silly to notice anyway. It's okay. Like, no, I think it's necessary for her to know that she was ignorant here and she should work on that. Either way, I think everyone putting the spotlight on some of the words he said here has definitely changed my mind on this guy just being the mature protector it seems he was trying to come across as. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. And with that all said, we might end things there. Thank you as always for watching. Love your face. Drink that water. Glub it. Deep throat the water. Yum yum. See you next time. Bye.